We off in this place, catching vibes, sit back and we blaze in the sky like I'm out of space.
What's going on, cigar world? What's going on, cigar enthusiasts? This is Jack, the cigar enthusiast, and I'm back with another banger. Man, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, notification bell, give us a huge thumbs up. And if you're new to the Facebook channel, go ahead and press that like, follow, share. Don't be the only one to have this only amazing content at your fingertips. Go ahead and press that share button and go ahead and create a watch party. Put the word out there because we're about to have a freaking ball. And if you're new to this segment, man, make sure you go and hit that damn comment box and let us know. We got some great things going on this episode. So let's get this thing started. Lewis already hitting the comment box, man. Yes, indeed. Yesterday was my birthday. I turned 30 years old. Yes, I don't want to hear none of your slick ass comments. I turned 30. Okay, I am young, wow, but I'm not free. I'm married. Okay, we is held captive over here. No, seriously though, man. I appreciate it, Lewis, man. You're amazing, bro. Lit Torch, what's going on? Hey, yes. I mean, if you didn't watch the video, the live yesterday, we had a freaking amazing time. Wife threw me an amazing birthday party. It was great. We literally drunk a whole bottle. I think it was like a liter. Maybe it was a fifth. I don't know. It was a whole bottle of Macallan yesterday, and then we went into a black label. Then I went into my one of my favorites is Bow and Blades, old fashions. It was a great time. Hey, what's up, Reamer? My guy. If y'all not a part of Johnny Smokes Uncut, man, y'all are missing out on a great group. You are tripping if you're not in that group. So go ahead and make sure you get in there, man. I appreciate it. Hey, I am a young buck, okay? I smoke great cigars, though. Did anybody see that Bahike that I was smoking last night? Did anybody see it? Man, go ahead, man. Look, I showed up and showed out. That was actually my first time ever smoking one. Yes, I'm not rich. I don't have piles of money stacked up in somebody's freaking basement or anything like that. I appreciate it, Santa Claus. Man, shout out to my beautiful wife for always coming in and support your boy. This is about to be an amazing show. I'm excited about this one. Shut up, Jason. Hey, this is my stalker, y'all. Jason Fitzgerald is my stalker. That's not even his name. Like he's lying. He's a whole beaner from California. Like, so stop sitting here saying your name is Fitzgerald. But yeah, that's my stalker. So shout out to my stalker. I love you, Jason. Hey man, but today, man, we got an amazing show that's about to be, be on, display for you guys today, man. I'm really excited about it. This guy has been on, plethora of shows, doing big things in the industry, tasting blends, just doing, really great things for the community, and for Altadis as well, man. So I'm excited to have him on the show. We got a great event coming up. On August 11th, we have our education night here at Dapper D. So if you haven't already signed up, it's $35. $35. And with that, you get a whole seven cigar sampler, a lighter, a cutter, and a drink, man. So you need to go ahead and go to Eventbrite, go to dapperds.com. Go to Dapper D's on Eventbrite, man, and sign up. You can also go to to Facebook under Dapper D Cigars and go ahead and click that event box. That event box that have everything you need in there. Sign up, man. It's gonna be a great time. Travis is gonna be in the building. Spreading some great love and to the love and care. So yes, we are about to get it going. So without doing all this talking and continuing on, because I have a lot to say. Let's introduce our guest of honor and our guest for the hour, Travis Pappenheim. I told you I might mess it up.
That's right. You got close. You got close. That's all that matters.
Hey, look, it's about trying. It's about trying. If we don't try, we will always fail.
you always know the answer. If you're not willing to try, you're always going to come out with the same outcome. So I 100% agree. And happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much, brother. Big 30.
Wow. Yeah. That's a Bahike kind of day. Definitely worth it.
Hey,
and
look.
Thought I'd chill real quick.
Hey, I want you to bring that closer here in a little bit, but we're gonna talk about that. But man, you know, we're just so happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Man, most definitely. Thank you for taking the time out your day to be on with us. Me and my crazy support system that I have. You know, we're gonna have some good fun. And you know, it's gonna be a good ride.
And John, I miss being on your program too. He just said I used to pop on there once in a while. So, but yeah, good guy. Good group.
I think Rima understands. I haven't been on in a while either. But you know, I'm gonna try to fix that though. I'm gonna try to be a better friend. But still, where's Johnny? Because we did not see him at PCA, and he had no excuse not to be there. So you can comment to that, Mr. Johnny Smokes Uncut. Jason actually got his hands on the Bahiki for me. It was a 2012 Bahiki, so you know I was being a little exclusive yesterday. So,
dang.
But Travis, man, tell us a little bit about you for anybody that don't know you. Tell us a little bit about you and.
Well, my name is Travis Pappenheim. I'm the National Education Manager with Altadis USA. We're the makers of cigars such as Montecristo, Romeo y Julieta, A. Chapman. We distribute Agining Room, Vega Fina, St. Louis Ray. I mean, I could go on and on and on. We're one of the larger companies, but we do things very, very boutique-ish when it comes to what we do. So it's I get to be part of that because when it comes to new blends, I'm on the tasting panel. So any new blends that we're developing and things that we're kind of working, whether it be our regular production or our limited editions or a private label, I'm on the tasting panel to see what they're like or the existing blends. All right.
Yeah, I'm turning my smoke eater on. Keep going, champ. I'm listening. Don't worry about me.
There's a ghost. But you know, it's pretty neat that they've asked me to be on that tasting panel and help distinguish are the existing blends we've got, like the Romeo Anniversario or the Montecristo White Label. Is it the same as it's always been year after year? There's only one way to try it is because as crops change, we got to modify that blend ever so slightly. But we want to make sure we modify it and make that same flavor last every year. We don't want it to change.
Absolutely.
So that's a little bit about what I do. Fly around the country, teach.
Man, first of all, you get paid to smoke cigars. Like that, I think right there, that's the win-win of everything. You know, your job is to smoke cigars, and I think all of us would like to take your job.
Oh, you can have it. It pays 2 nickels a day. Yes, I get all the cigars I can smoke, but that's it. That's all. No, it's a fun job. You know, if I wasn't doing this, I know there's a lot of people that could do it, or would be willing to do it, but I don't know if there's a lot that could do it. There's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes that most people don't know about. That
Absolutely.
They see me when I like right now. You know, they're seeing me got a beautiful area and I got a nice little shot, but that's not really what we do when it comes to making strong cigars for you guys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that goes into them. Just to try and make that one that's just right for you. So,
you know, talking about blends, right before we go into that, I do want to give a special congratulations to Andrew. Andrew starts at Davidas in Maryland, I believe it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. Cigar Lounge, you know, very big cigar smoker. About to be soon to be retired veteran. You know, just amazing guy, man. Thank you so much for your service, and
thank you.
We wish you the best for on your future endeavors in the cigar world, man. Look forward to seeing you at PCA. So get there. And where's Johnny?
And Andrew, that's you picked a good family to work for. David says they have a very good business model, and they're great to their employees, great to everybody out there, and they do a really good job.
Man, that's amazing. So Travis, so, you know, speaking of testing blends and looking at everything from that perspective, man, y'all had this new cigar that came out blended by Palencia family called the Eternal. What was your thoughts when you first smoked that cigar? Yes, that baby right there.
It tastes a lot like what I'm tasting right now.
Man, amazing.
It is amazing. I love this. Now, limited edition. So, of course, at the beginning, I had to say, okay, I need 6 or 8 boxes for events that are coming up, you know, little things I got to bring with me to certain accounts. But I always pull a couple just to keep here at the house, just because I got 2. We'll see how long those last me, because there's a boxes of 11.
Yeah. Well, you know, what was your thoughts when you first tasted that blend? Like, what was some of the notes that stood out to you? Some things that was kind of different, because I really feel like that cigar wasn't contrary to everything that the Romeo Julieta, however you said that. I'm American, so I'm gonna say Romeo and Juliet. Hey, look, somebody's gonna say something, but oh well. But like, what was your thoughts? Because I don't feel like it went with the normal complexity of that brand.
No, gosh, no. This one stepped out of that box of, well, I mean, which we've been trying to do over the years with like Romeo by Romeo with San Andres, and some of these, Romeo 505. We tried to step into that modern profile, that little bit fuller in the strength level, a little bit bigger and more pounding when it comes to the flavor profile, a little more of a stronger hit. But this one, using the tobaccos that are used in this, they're not your in-your-face flavors, but they're there. I mean, they're very predominant, but they're not those ones that knock you out right away. Yeah. When I first fired it up, the final product, because I was in that development phasing. Yeah. But when I finally, after they got rested in the cedar room and they came to us and Raphael and I sat down and smoked one, we were like, okay. When the first initial hit, I was like, I expected more. I expected maybe just a little bit more. But then you get in about that 1/8 of an inch, because you got to let that tobacco warm up in there. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
You get that once that tobacco is warmed up on the interior and then the oils on the exterior really start to expand out, and when you draw over it, that goes right over those oils, brings those in. Wow. It was just like switch just popped on and just started getting really big and flavorful, smooth, super smooth,
very, very leathery.
In fact, that's was it for tonight.
Yeah, very leathery. You have some white pepper that sits on the back, but it's not too much. Very earthy. But I mean, a great brand blended it. If I'm not mistaken, Palencia blended, correct?
Palencia, yep.
Yeah. I mean,
Palencia's family, I mean, they've been doing tobacco for 157 years, 158 years. The 5th generation now doing what the family's always been done. And some of their methods that they use are just, I mean, who makes their own fertilizer using worms?
Come on, man.
Big old trays of these worm beds that are creating tobacco for, or fertilizers for certain crops, or creating wrapper leaf for, I didn't bring it out, but the Romeo by Romeo Connecticut, that new Connecticut, Nicaragua. Yeah. That's using a Connecticut strain grown in Nicaragua. He took shade barns, a watering system to where he could water individual rows. He could water certain areas. It's not like they just take water and just run it down a trough, hoping it gets to the plants. He's got drip lines to each plant. Yeah. So he can water certain ones, fertilize when they need to directly to the roots. I walked into his shade barn at around 7 weeks, a week before they were about ready to harvest. Yeah. I tell you what, I have not seen a tobacco field that was more level and flat. Normally tobacco, you get some variation, right? You get one that'll pop up real high and one that's kind of dwarfed. Yeah. It's hard to keep them all perfect, but his were perfectly level. It was amazing. Yeah. For consistency, when you're blending a cigar, you like your tobaccos coming from that farmer, that consistency. So when we say, grade 6, grade 3, we can say we know it's going to be the same one all the way across the board.
Every time. And I told Hector at the show, I said, look, I I said, look, y'all are doing amazing things. You know, like what y'all got going on, the cigars that y'all are collaborating with, y'all are cooking up some phenomenal things, man. And I told him about that cigar being one of them. I said, look, you know, we push everything in the humidor, right? But that was one when I first smoked it, I said, look, if you're not smoking this and you're not buying 5 of them right now, you're gonna wish you would have after you smoke this one. And people be like, Jack, you serious? I said, look, when I say I support something and when I say this is a good cigar, man, that's a great cigar. But now, for anybody that don't know, maybe Travis can break the news for us, but that is not a limited edition anymore, is it?
Yes. It's still limited, but it's not regular production, but we just were able to make a few more and raise that limited number up because the demand, we sold out of it before we even got them into the U.S.
Yes.
So people were just boom, you know. So we heard that and said, well, we got to make some more because we don't want to leave everybody high and dry. Yeah. We want to make sure that we're getting everybody. But we had enough tobacco with AJ and Plasencia, or with Plasencia's help, to pull a little bit more of the tobaccos he had to be able to use that.
Man, you know, when my rep told me about it, I said, sign me up for the max I can get. You know, I want it. Yeah, I want it.
You know, you were saying that you're pushing everything in the humidor.
Yeah.
But a lot of respect to you guys, because in the grapevine, you guys will suggest the right cigar for the customer for what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of respect to that, because a lot of people, they have what I see in some shops is they have an initiative. You know, like they want to push this because they like it. That's one they like. That's the one they want to push, right?
Absolutely.
Instead of listening to that customer and going, what do you like out of a cigar? What's your ideal? You know, where are you going to be smoking it? What flavors have you smoked that you liked before? Let me throw a suggestion that might fit your bill. It's going to be you. You know what I mean? So a lot of respect to you guys out there.
You know, and I think that's like the most important thing. Is like, you know, so many times I tell people when they start smoking, they was like, yeah, you know, you always kind of know the type of cigar experience somebody had when they be like, yeah, I smoked a couple times, but it's been a while. 9 times out of 10, they got too strong of a cigar because they asked a friend and was like, man, hell no, this is not for me. And then you come in and you actually talk with us professionals that can, you know, get you, you know, certified. I do see y'all questions over here. I'm gonna get to those here in 2 seconds. Those are gonna flow into something that I'm gonna talk about. I just don't want y'all to feel like, hey, he doesn't see my comments. I see him. But anyway, you know, it's one of those things where you have to listen to your consumer. And Andrew, you're absolutely right. And this is something that you're gonna see as well. You know, I don't care if you're known for always smoking, you know, full body cigars. If you can't tell me what you actually like about a cigar, then guess what, buddy? You're smoking because that's something that somebody told you about, and you feel like the darker it is, the stronger you are. It doesn't work like that. You know, I hate a peppery cigar. Like I like pepper, but it got to be subtle. You know, because too much pepper starts to. The only thing you're gonna smell, tasting that is pepper, and it's gonna totally wipe out your retrohale. I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. Well, I mean, if you're retrohale, it depends on how often you retrohale. Now, when I'm with our Grupo de Maestros or our master blenders, we don't retrohale maybe 2 or 3 times through the whole cigar. That's it. You shouldn't be doing more than that because your sinus cavity will react to that smoke. And the other thing I see is when people do retrohale, they bring the smoke into their mouth, they let it set for a moment, and then their first thing they do is retrohale. Instead of blowing about 50% of that smoke out, letting it cool down, then retrohaling, and you actually get a bigger flavor profile, you know, through the sinus cavity. So it's if you don't let it cool down and you retrohale 4, 5, 6, 10 times through a cigar, you're gonna blow your sinus cavity out. Nothing's gonna taste right.
Blow it. So, you know, kind of going into, you know, retrohaling, you know, tasting different blends and different things of that nature. I have been told, but I would love to make sure I'm right. I've been told that there's particular sizes that are used to taste cigars, Robustos, Coronas, Lanceros. Is that a myth or is that a fact?
No, you're pretty spot on. If you think about a cigar, when you get a cigar, 60 to 80% of your flavor profile comes from the wrapper alone. That's why it's the most expensive leaf on the market. Yeah. It's the important one. That's what we're all tasting when you have a cigar. The filler is where we add the body level. Yeah. So if we want a higher strength, you're going to get more of that darker. It's going to bring out more of that flavor. Yeah. And it'll kind of change that variation. But if we're going to do a full-bodied cigar, you don't want to taste that in a Corona. Yeah. Because it's going to have that one little leaf level of Haro in there, and it's going to just pound that wrapper leaf. But you can do a little more of the blending, keeping that body level up, but giving that consistency to tone down, giving you more wrapper leaf. So it's up to each manufacturer, but we find that the Robusto, the Coronas seem to be the ones that a lot of us taste. Toros, just because that's the most commonly sold cigar size. So we want to make sure we're blending for that flavor profile.
I mean, I think if you're tasting at a Toro, all you're doing is tasting a longer smoke. It's not even like the profile really changes unless it's, if your Robusto is a 5x50 and your Toro is a 6x50, it's the same concept, just longer. But if it's more of a 54, a 6x54, and your Robusto is a 5x50, then obviously you're getting a little bit of different taste notes. Am I right or wrong?
You're gonna. I mean, that what was it, 4/64 or whatever that reduces down to in a small fraction. Yeah. That size difference can make a difference in your flavor if you've got the profile to taste it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a small percentage of people that can say, I've got flavor notes of this, and then they can pick those out. Yeah. Those are typically people that have trained their palate to be able to do that. Most of your most people that are smoking cigars on a regular basis, just for fun, for the hobby of it, they're going to say, oh, I might get this, or I taste a little bit. It's kind of little flavors of this, but they're not doing those gradings. So is it important to them? No, we just want to make sure we're hitting what we can to make a good experience for everybody.
Yeah. And I think that is everything, being able to pick those notes. And that's why I tell people all the time. I tell my tobacconists all the time. I said, look, don't try to spend your time telling, this long drawn on story and how you're getting 25 different notes out of this cigar. Like, the common guy that smokes is not tasting that, right? They're smoking a cigar. That is it. They don't care about nothing else. Is it good to them? That's the only thing that matters to them. But, for me, when I smoke a cigar, I'm trying to learn, I train my palate to pick up on those different notes. So, which leads me to my next question, right? A lot of people, and Billy, let's not Billy question out. Billy said, what's your favorite cigar and size?
Favorite cigar is really, that's a hard one because it depends on the time of day. Yeah. It's majority of the time it's going to be one of ours because I do love almost all the products that we make. I mean, some of them just aren't for me. The St. Louis broadleaf that we just came out with about a year and a half ago, that to me is just too strong. I don't like them that super full, but I do smoke. There's some competitors that I do enjoy because they do it right.
Yes.
It's those that know how to do a cigar properly and give it balance and give it character. That's what I love. And then my favorite size, it has to be a Corona. But I spend a lot of time on the road, and you don't get those opportunities like right now where I can sit down with a Toro and you spend an hour and a half with somebody and actually get to enjoy it.
Yes.
If I do, I'm usually up in front of a crowd talking about it. So Coronas just seem to fit my bill when I'm smoking, because I can smoke a Corona as long as most people can smoke that Toro. Because the smaller the ring gauge, the more you have to slow down your smoking speed on how often you draw on it and how aggressive you are to draw.
And Billy, that was a great question. But like he said, I think, size is always dependent on time. When you think size, think of time, right? If you got 45 minutes, then going to a Gordo is not going to be your case. That's not a route that you really want to go, or Churchill for that matter. But if you're going with you got an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, then that would be a good way to go. But you're also, like he said, blending. I mean, let's break down blending a little bit. Let's talk about the binder, wrapper, and filler ratios and how that goes into blending.
Well, in a typical cigar, Robusto, Toro, Churchill, they're all based off of the same leaf count. Your fillers are going to be typically 5 or maybe 6 leaves, depending on what the size of that leaf is that's going in there. Then you've got a half of a leaf used as a binder, because you take those filler leaves up, and depending on the manufacturer, you're going to either do like an S-fold, or you're going to do intubado, which is small little tubes where you take the tobacco and you roll them up like little straws. And then you put those together, but then you wrap it at a 45-degree angle, just rolling it up and in that binder leaf. Now that just holds it together. That kind of closes it off. And then they take that and they put that in the mold, and then they'll put the half of a leaf, wrapper leaf on it. So total, you're probably talking maybe 6 leaves whole. Yeah. 2 halves, wrapper and binder, and then the 4, 5, 6, depending on what the blend is on the filler.
Yeah. And understanding blend is I think that's essential to what you guys do. You know, the different Ligero leaves, the different Seco leaves, the different Viso leaves. You know, all of these contribute a portion of combustion and flavor notes and all of that stuff, and understanding the case. So like Eternal, right? You know, let's break that down just a tad bit, you know, more, right? Okay. So when you talk about the Ligero leaves, how many Ligero leaves are typically found in that cigar alone?
In this particular one, or this might have 1.5, maybe 2. I think I don't remember the exact blend on the proportions.
Absolutely.
But let's just say like this one's a medium plus. We may put a solid one big leaf from the upper part of that plant, like the very top, which is going to have the biggest strength to it. Or we may put 1.5 or 2 from the lower section of that Ligero, which is, you know, the top third. We may just choose that lower section. You know, when you think of a tobacco plant, we're going to grade that full tobacco plant. Each leaf will get a grade from 1 to 7. Mm-hmm. 1 to 7. Mm-hmm. And then if we choose grade, let's say 6 or 5, each one of those grades puts out into 4 more. So each one gets its own 4 grades. And that way we can really help isolate down which leaf we're using by size, weight, and color. Yeah. So yeah, we may put 1 or 2 leaves of this, but we also got to put some of these leaves down here because these burn real well. Not a lot of flavor down here, but they burn well. And then this has that good mix of good flavor, and it seems to burn better because up here, these are like burning a 4x4. I mean, they're thick. Yeah. They're really staunch leaves. So you got to blend them right to get that good burn. So it burns evenly. You get that cone shape, which is ideal when you're burning. Because it's hotter in the middle than it is on the outside. So you want your thinner leaves on the outside. And, but yeah, when we do Ligero, and then this one may have like another leaf or leaf and a half of the middle section. And then the lower section, the Seco down here, this may have 1 leaf in there just for helping them burn. Yeah. Yeah. You know, understanding that, I think is understanding the complexity. You know, I remember I was talking with, who was I talking to? I think it was Sean Williams from Cohiba. And, you know, he was talking about, you know, one of the blends had like 4 different type of Ligeros and, you know, Seco and Viso. And I was like, you know, from that. Yeah, exactly. It just went all the way over my head. But it was so good because, you know, we look at cigars and we be like, okay, I get it. Like, yeah, we are, you know, it's a handcrafted hobby and people are doing this and people are doing that, but don't understand. It's just like seasoning your meats. And you don't tell your seasonings, you know, to any old body. You only tell those to good friends and, you know, different things of that nature. But everybody seasons their meat differently. So the same concept when it comes to cigars. Everybody seasons their cigars a little bit different with those different type of leaves. Well, and it's, there's a lot of things. Okay, you brought up where the sections of the leaves come from. That you know, full flavor, middle flavor, bottom flavor, good burn, medium burn, really hard to burn. You got to mix those right. But now let's talk about 26 countries that we get tobaccos from. Each one of those countries has got different aging Each one of them, one crop, you may age one way. Another one, you may age it differently. Fermentation. This one may be aged one way and fermented one way. Now we ferment this one just a little differently, and we age it maybe a little longer. And that's just part of it, because you've got this whole mix of things you could do that really that's how we're able to have, how many human cigar brands are there available to everybody right now? We aren't just, creating these on a whim. It's how we all individually create that.
Yeah.
If you had a filet mignon and you went to 20 or 30 different restaurants, that filet is going to taste a little different in each one. Yet it's all the same filet mignon, right? Same cut. Yeah. It's just how it tastes. And that's what we're doing with cigars.
Yeah. And that's a great way to look at it. Carl had a question. Is the cone shape based on quality of the stick? I'm going to let you answer that one, Travis.
And
then Billy, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that, your question as well. I think that's a great question for closer to the end. But we're definitely going to get into that because I like that question. But going back to this one, is the cone shape based on quality of the stick? And you said you want me to answer, Trav?
Yeah.
Sure you don't want to answer? You're the guest.
I'll answer. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's based on the quality of the leaf as much as the quality of the roll.
The roll.
Who rolled that cigar, where they placed the thicker leaves, because you want those in the middle. And then as you're working your way out, you want that leaf thinner. And it just depends on your blender or the person doing the bunch, creating that binder and filler leaves together. Did they assemble it properly? Yeah,
exactly. I think a lot of that goes into when we see cigars with burn construction. You got burn problems. The construction of the cigar is everything, right? It's how it burns. If it tunnels, if it canoes. I mean, you got so many different ways of burning that ultimately resorts back to how it was rolled. If it was rolled a certain type of way, or was rolled too loose, or what your Ligero leaf is closer to the wrapper or the binder, then you're obviously going to have a flip-flop burn where one side burns a little bit more, and where you have to take a torch and burn it on the side. So I mean, it's so much to it. It's so much to it, to a point where to fully understand it takes studying. Like it literally.
Yeah, well, and the one that I get in shops a lot is, and you'll probably hear about it. You hear about it all the time. Oh my God, there's a stick. There's a stem. There's somebody left a stem in my cigar. Well, when we put the filler leaves in there, we intentionally leave at least about 50% of that stem in from the tip of the leaf down. Now, it's all based off of the thickness of that stem. We don't want them too thick, but you do want to leave as thick as possible to still have it no issues with your burn.
Yes.
People don't think about the roots is where we get the flavor profiles. All the nutrients come in from the roots. Yes. They come up the stalk. They come down the stem and then out to the tips of the leaves. They're losing some every time they get to that end, right? Yeah. So you want to leave some of that stem in there, because that's a big part of that flavor profile and that oils that are locked into those veins that people. What I would encourage everybody, if you've got a stem that's starting to come out the end, it's not causing any burn issues, you just don't like it on the tip of your thing, grab your cutter, snip it off, and then just maybe, if you have to, tug it back in there. Leave that one in there, because otherwise you can destroy the interior. It'll have a bad burning experience when we leave those in there intentionally. Yeah.
And then even with that, knocking those stems out, you could try to take it out. And part of the problem while you trying to do your extraction process, as if you're a OBGYN or something like that, what's going to happen is you're going to start to destroy your cigar. And then you're going to go back and say, well, this cigar wasn't rolled right. It was rolled right. Just leave it there.
But and I'm not going to say that it's perfect. I mean, it's 100% handcrafted, and we go through one part to remove the stem, then it goes off and to its next stage of going through its grading process, and then it goes to your roller. Well, your roller is your final inspection to check those as they're assembling them. If they feel one or see one that's too thick, they need to reduce that down and get rid of a part of that, that thick part, and leave that other top end. And sometimes that is overlooked, but that's part of that handcrafted product. They're not going to be perfect every time.
No.
But we, like in our factories, we have ways that we check it through the whole process. Once it's rolled in a bunch and it's put into the press, we immediately, as soon as it's done being pressed, then we go into our draw testing station. And every single one of our cigars that we make at La Flor de Capon or our Tabacalera de Garcia factory in Honduras and in the Dominican Republic, we got draw testing stations for I think it's 15 people that are bunching just to do draw testing. Yeah. So if we see one that's bad, we'll take it, we'll break it in half, we throw it to the side. That gets sold off to the mass market stuff so they can just shred it and blend it. Because it's not worth it for us to try and fix it. It just sorry, they don't get paid for that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
The way it goes.
And then also, talking about that, the quality checks. I mean, the average cigar goes through how many quality checks?
It depends on what manufacturer you're talking about. But with us, I would say we got to be going through at least 30 through the process. From when we receive the tobacco to, is it need to be additional fermentation? Is it not quite ready? And then from there, it's the grading, which is inspected, and then your leaf preparation gets inspected. I mean, every time we do something, we've got people that they're trained to watch the tobaccos. They're very passionate about it, and they want to make sure it's done right.
Yeah. So Billy's question was, my second question for both of you: if there was someone past or present that you can smoke a cigar with, who is it and why? I feel like this is a great time to interject this question, because the next one is what we're gonna be talking about and under the Know Your Rapper column. So take a stab at it, Travis. Who would it be?
Past or present? Who could I have a cigar with? I know there's a lot of people that I can't think of the guy's name, but he does the Family Feud. He's the new guy that does the Family Feud. You know what I'm talking about?
Harvey?
That's him.
Yeah.
I would love to sit down and have a cigar with him, just because he seems like that down-to-earth guy that I read something that we're in between like sets, or when he's doing movies, and when he's got a break, he goes outside and he has a cigar.
Yeah.
Calms down. But he just seems like that down-to-earth guy that would be kind of fun to just hang out and have a cigar with,
Man, if it was mine, me personally, I am very big into history. I'm very big in understanding the complexity of tobacco and a little bit deeper note. I would have to go with Jose Padron. I think personally, his story is amazing, but hearing him talk about his story, hearing him, his passion behind the tobacco and understanding the different blends and tobacco leaves and hybrid leaves and seeds and different things. I mean, that's who I would want to do it with. Hey, as a matter of fact,
now you got to think it's like who you're mentioning are people from past. When you're thinking about people from them, and if you tried to give them a cigar that we're making now, that'd blow them out of the water. They wouldn't know what to do, because what we're doing with tobaccos now would blow them away. And they would be literally flabbergasted. So
speechless, literally. The hybriding, the different hybriding of seeds, and creating seed. You're pretty much creating notes from the seeds of them, and within that hybrid, process, taking out something that you necessarily don't want to grow in that crop and different things of that nature.
Well, that in the U.S. populace over the last 10, 15 years, you've watched them go from, like, let's just say Onyx, one of the brands that we do, Oscuro wrapper. Yeah. Back then, 15, 20 years ago, that was considered a fuller bodied cigar.
Yeah.
A little more higher strength. Exact same blend. It has not changed over the last, 15 or 20 years. But nowadays you smoke it and you're going to go, oh, that's mellow to maybe medium, mellow to medium. It's on that mellower range. We haven't changed anything. There's no differences. It's what we as consumers have kind of adapted as what we want.
Yeah.
We've seen this buildup of these strength levels. And La Flor Dominicana was one of the biggest ones that really started to bring light to that, because they were able to take tobaccos and do what they do to it to get that fuller body out of it, or fuller strength, but yet keep them really good flavors. So we as the consumers, we're causing that trend. And that's not something you'd have seen 20, 30 years ago, or even before that, so yeah,
that was
it's crazy. But like, Henry Ford, if you brought him a Ford nowadays, he'd look at you like, what? This ain't a Model T. What, get out of here. No.
This is not the concept that I came up with 100 years ago. Like, what is this? This is called a Batmobile back, growing up. When
this is a spaceship of some kind. What the?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is stuff you see on you charging stations at IKEA. Like, this is not heard of. Man,
great question though.
Man, that was a fantastic question. It caused you to it caused you to step out and actually, think outside of like, man, yeah, we want to learn all this stuff, but man, like, who would we sit down with? You know what I mean? Like, me personally, I think I would probably just stare at Jose like this. Like, I wouldn't even know what to say. Like, what do you say? Being in the cigar industry, it's like you're very modest. Like, humble is everything. You could be a grower of tobacco for 60 years. For 60 years. In any other field, 60 years makes you an expert, makes you a professional, makes you a pro. But not here in cigars, man. You still see the people that's growing 60 years say, yeah, I'm still not a master.
Nope.
I'm still not a master.
Yep. And that you're going to get that from Plasencia, AJ. I mean, all the growers. They're never satisfied because the market changes and we have to keep with it. And they're learning every time. Every time something changes, they got to develop and change with what happens. So we never stop learning.
Absolutely not. So talking about learning, we got our event coming up on August 11th. It's a Wednesday here at Dapper D's. We're going over Know Your Rapper. Can you pull that up to the screen one time?
Yeah. Now it's missing the lighter and the cutter, but you're gonna at least get the gist of the cigars and the here. I'll.
So the reason I really want to display this, right, is as you see, you start off with a Connecticut all the way to a Maduro. And what Travis is going to do is he's going to pretty much break down the different notes, understanding the different notes that come out of that cigar. I think they're all the same size, which is good. But it's also going to give you a breakdown. I think understanding your palate is key in cigars. Like, there is no such thing as, I know everything about cigars, or I know what I need to know. Like, understanding the different notes that come out of a Habano, like Travis said earlier, is based on, what's the time of the day? What are we doing that day? Is it hot outside? Did I eat? What am I drinking? There's a bunch of variables that go into the complementary stages of smoking cigars. And I think this is going to be a freaking great event, not only for a novice, but also somebody that calls themselves a cigar aficionado. And you want to expand on that, Trav?
Yeah. I mean, the reason I came up with this kit was because too many of us in the industry and consumers, because it's really driven to train retail staff, but it got caught on to the consumer side. And I did a few events just before COVID, and people were like just enthralled with wanting to know more. So when I created this, though, it was based off of the 7 most widely used wrapper leaves that we use in the industry, and explaining these are what you could typically get out of it. Kind of the experience, the flavor notes, the style. That is one going to be creamy, one's going to be a little bit more impactful in the flavor, and this one can be turned into a Maduro, and this one can't. Which could be a great question. How many of the tobaccos strains that are out there cannot be turned into a Maduro.
Hit the comment box.
I'll just throw that one out there for your comments, see if anyone answers. But to go back to that, I wanted to kind of give everybody an experience of what, let's say, my favorite leaf, the Ecuadorian Sumatra. Okay, what are you going to get flavor-wise out of that Sumatra leaf? Well, I created a cigar with the wrapper, binder, and fillers made with Sumatra. And what are you going to taste out of it? What's that leaf going to give you? Because if that 60 to 80% of the flavor profiles from the wrapper alone, that's a pretty impactful, little variety, or percentage that people are forgetting. That's why they're smoking that cigar, is for that flavor profile. It's not the strength. And you'll hear one occasionally. It's like, I just want your strongest cigar you got. Okay. But most all of us are going to smoke it because of the flavor profile. So that's okay. All right. We got number 4.
4. Let's see, Carl, we wasn't talking about that. We're talking like Connecticut, Habano, Oscuro, Maduro, Colorado Maduros. I mean, whatever you can.
I talk about more of the varietals themselves. We got U.S. grown Connecticut.
Okay.
Then we've got
that's what we're talking about.
Cameroon.
Okay.
Then we've got the Ecuadorian Connecticut, which will encompass like the new one, the Nicaraguan, and the Honduran, which we're now growing the Connecticut's in both those regions. So I kind of encompass them into both of them. But then we go into Criollo, Sumatran, and then the U.S. grown San Andres. I'm sorry, the U.S. grown broadleaf. No, the U.S. grown broadleaf. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't go into the Mexican because you didn't use a lot of it back at that point. Now we are, we went with the broadleaf because we have a lot more with the broadleaf. Yeah. That's used in the industry. I mean,
so comment in the comment boxes what you think out of those that he listed cannot be turned into a Maduro. Is that was a question, right?
Yeah, that was a question. So out of all the varietals, and let's just say the top 7 that I mentioned, how many of those can be turned into a Maduro, or how many cannot be turned into a Maduro out of the 7? Yeah,
we're curious to know. So, getting to that, then Billy, we're gonna get to your third question. Lewis wanted to know, what's the trick on getting the most notes out of a cigar? I think he kind of just answered that, but I'm gonna let him dive into that. But I'm pretty sure I know the answer. I think you heard it too. But this is an old question, so go ahead, Trav.
Yeah, it's actually, Lewis, it's a great question. I'm glad you asked it because a lot of people don't know that this is a good question to ask. Yeah. But the biggest tips I have, if you want to experience good flavor out of your cigar, slow down. Yes. I see too many people hot boxing it and just there's like they're in a race. You're not driving a Hellcat against a Mustang. I mean, you're sitting back relaxing. Enjoy your cigar. When you draw on that cigar and you're actually bringing the air through it, it doesn't mean you have to do it within 2 seconds. Yeah. To get your mouth full of smoke, it's slow down. I maybe do a count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're done bringing that smoke in. You want to keep that ember as cool as possible. And then the other one is when you bring the smoke into your mouth, leave it in there for a little while. Let it linger for a moment and enjoy it. And then when you let the smoke out, slowly let it out. That's just going to help lay that smoke into the palate a little bit longer. And then if you want to go even further, just take your tongue, rub it on the roof of your mouth, and then you'll embed some of that and bring that in. Your first breath of oxygen, you're going to go, oh my God. I mean, it's going to open up a ton of flavors for you.
And I like to explain to people that cigars is like food, right? You digest food with your stomach, you chew food with your mouth, but you get a whole different experience when you're using your nostrils or your nose or your palate, for that matter, for the sake of what we're talking about, to actually taste your food. When you're chewing fast and you're eating fast, it's the same concept of smoking fast. You're not really tasting anything. The biggest thing is you're trying to eat, get to whatever it is that you need to do next. Now, on what Travis said, slow smoking, the average size, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right, is 3 minutes. every 3 minutes you should do a puff, and again, you shouldn't be doing quick on every time you smoke. You need to do a out, and that allows you to start getting a little bit more. Go ahead, Trav.
Oh, I was just gonna say, to adding what you're saying right there, to get that 3 minutes, you don't want to knock off the ash all the time. The ash is your insulator that helps hold the ember in the cigar. Yes. You don't want to hold an ash like this, because then you're drawing air through the ash into the cigar. Yes. It'll taint the flavor. But you do want to leave just a little bit of an ash on to help really hold that heat in, so it won't go out on you, because they're all natural. So you have to worry about, if it's all natural, air gets to it, it's going to put it out. There's nothing to keep it going other than the tobacco. So yeah, you're right on. I 100% agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. So, understanding the smoke, just understanding what you're trying to do is everything to enjoying the experience. This is not something that you need to come here and be in a race or a rush to do. If you don't have time, you probably want to go with maybe something a little bit on the Corona side, a petite Corona, something that allows you to still enjoy a smoke, but it's not going to take you a lot of time. But the last thing you want to do is spend most of your time just hitting it every minute, because as soon as that ember gets too hot, your smoke experience, you just got tainted.
Yep, keep it cool.
Getting into the Know Your Rapper sampler, right? You said you came up with this concept to talk about the rappers that you're using. What's some other things that we're gonna get out of that, in this actual 2-hour event of smoking these different cigars and also trying to pair them with a drink of different things of that nature?
You're going to get open conversation like you and I are having right now, but they're going to get to come in, and I'm going to talk about each one of the wrapper leaves as we go through it. But we're going to have conversations, and it's going to stem these questions and this question. It's become very organic, the way these just kind of flow, because you never know who's going to want to know what, and who's going to, I'll give you little inside tracks and secrets and stuff that a lot of people don't know about the actual wrapper leaves, or the growing, or the fermenting, and the curing process, and the whole development of a cigar from beginning to end. I go over all that during this.
Billy, let us know where you're from. If you're in Jacksonville, make sure you attend our event on August 11th. I think this will be a great event for you. I believe the price of this, if I'm not mistaken, is $40 MSRP, or $45.
You're under, but yeah, if you got a great price on it.
What is it normally? What's the MSRP on it?
50.
So $50. Do people do retailers sell these?
No, these are only available for an event like we're doing right now.
Training event.
Yeah. So I only built a limited quantity of these, because it was, like I say, it was kind of designed for retail staff trainings, but now that it's opened up to consumer, and we do these only when I'm around until the new packs come in, because we got more ordered. We just ordered a whole nother round of them. So
those samplers, like I said, that this is more of an educational piece. This is like, if you really want to dive deeper into cigars, this is something that you attend. You know what I mean? Like, or you could be like, hey, like I said, our ticket is $35. You get 7 cigars, a lighter cutter. On top of that, you get freaking a drink. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's like no brainer. I mean,
Billy may be from Long Island, New York, but you know what? It's a quick flight down. Come on down.
Come on down. Hey, it's gonna be well worth it. And then if you can't make it, try to talk to your local brick and mortar and see if they're willing to do something like this. But I think a lot of Know Your Rapper is really based on. I may be wrong, but the concept kind of came from like factory tours, right?
It was really based off of there's other manufacturers that are doing something very similar to this and have for many years. But they're doing, you get these little peritos, these little tiny cigarillo styles.
Yeah. And
you get to smoke this wrapper leaf, this filler leaf, and this filler leaf, and this filler leaf, and this binder leaf, and then this wrapper leaf. And I started thinking about it. And this is when I was a sales rep. This wasn't even when I was in the education side of things. And I'm like, there's more to it than that, though. I mean, yes, it's a great concept, but I wanted to get bigger than that. I wanted to give more of that education and that experience of why do we choose certain cigars? Why are we drawn to the the Montecristo white label as opposed to the H. Upman by AJ or the Onyx, right? Is it the wrapper leaf, or is it maybe some of that filler leaf that's in there, which is one of my big proponents. I'm a huge fan of Sumatran, but I also love Peruvian in my filler leaf. Yes. So certain cigars, like the Monte Platinum and the Romeo y Julieta, I'm very drawn to those because they've got that Peruvian I love in there.
Yeah. Another great cigar that I love, and I think you're kind of gonna understand the concept by now, is the Espada. The Espada, the Habano Espada. Jesus, that cigar is one, nutty, leathery, slight pepper, but you got pepper. It's not like it's not too much, but it's enough to coat the palate. I mean, but I think we know who makes that one too.
And you got to think about where you're getting tobaccos from those.
Yeah.
Now you're getting, you mentioned nutty, leather, earthy.
Yeah.
Well, Condega, which is one of the regions in Nicaragua, because it's a Nicaraguan Puro. Condega is known for its nuttiness.
Yes.
Jalapa is known for its leatheriness.
Yes.
Esteli, which anybody who smokes cigars regularly and they like Nicaraguans, they've heard of the Esteli, right? Yep. That's the highest in elevation that you're growing. It's surrounded by volcanic mountains. So yes, you're going to get a lot of that volcanic high altitude flavor profile, which comes across as peppery notes. Yes. Very peppery. So if you've got an Esteli wrapper leaf, but you got Condega and Jalapa, you're still going to have really big pepper notes right up front. I mean, it's going to hit you until Condega and Jalapa start to come in, and it'll tone down those pepper notes and kind of balance it out. But that's one that if you see it like an Esteli wrapper, it's going to be peppery right off the get-go.
Absolutely. Man, go ahead and click the link. I see Carl said that he wanted to know, plan to make it and wanted to know the time. And go ahead and click the link. We do have limited amount of seats. We're about halfway sold out. We only have 15, 16 seats available. And we're about at 10 right now. So we're gonna definitely.
You're bringing in about 15?
Yeah.
This is going to be an intimate crowd. I like this.
This is going to be great. Hey, man. Look, we're going to have fun with this one, man. Hey, so go ahead and book your tickets. Click the link and, go in there, book your tickets, man. It's going to be a great event with Trav. So Trav, kind of going into, a whole different direction of what we've been doing outside of the educational pieces. Montecristo got some new cigars coming out. Let's talk about them.
We do. Yes, we do.
We got the blue label Epic. I don't even think Half Wheel has that information yet.
They will soon.
Come on.
If they probably got it out and they're waiting to write the. I don't know how the Half Wheel and all these other ones. That's part of the marketing department, and I'm trade marketing education, so I don't know how that all works. But yes, we are bringing out a new Epic. Now, everybody probably remembers the yellow box Epic, the 07. Well, that 07 tobacco is gone, and we're now down at the tail end, if you can even get that 07 cigar anymore. So we needed to come out with the next version of the Epic, and this has been quite a road that we've been riding down to get this one done. But we're at the tail end. We're not 100% pleased with the tobaccos right now, but we're looking at the end of the month, them just being like perfect. Yeah. If I gave you one to smoke right now, you're going to go, oh my God, this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But we just need that little bit of tempering just to make sure it's done right, and it's going to be a hit. It's phenomenal. It is a great steak.
It's actually one of the pricier price points of the Montecristo line. I think the MSRP on it is what, $15 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
it might even be higher than that if I remember right.
So 18, so it's definitely
somewhere in that ballpark.
There. Yeah,
but it's one of the more expensive ones. But you got to think we're using tobaccos from 2012.
Yes,
in this one. Now this is 2021. You're talking 9 years at this point. And
Yes,
it was tobacco that was harvested during it was actually during a blue moon phase. So they were harvesting during this blue moon phase. The tobaccos were great. It had this blue moon that it went through. That's why we call it the blue, or the Vintage 12 is what we're calling it. The Montecristo Epic Vintage 12. But those tobaccos are older. The older the tobaccos, the more expensive you get. It's just part of that aging process.
I mean, not only the better the tobacco is, but like, let's just talk about the fermentation and the aging and the curing and all of the different factors that went into, getting this cigar right, man. It's been sitting in literally an aging room for 9 years, So essentially, if it's 2012, it was grown in what, 2011?
No, it was grown in 11, harvested in 12. And then it once you go through curing, about 6 months or 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks in curing, then you got the initial resting, and then you got fermentation. Can take anywhere from 3 months to 3 years, depending on what they did. What we do with the tobaccos. I think this one, it more than likely was somewhere in that 9 to 12 month fermentation cycle with the way AJ does things, and not AJ, but our factory. So it would have been more like 8 to 9 months in our fermentation on that with that tobacco, because it's Sumatran coming from Ecuador.
Yeah.
So that beautiful Ecuadorian Sumatra doesn't take a lot, because it's actually a fairly thin leaf.
Yeah.
Can't ferment it for a long time. That heat will just burn it.
But
then you got to remember, when you're aging it, it goes into its bale form. Yeah. And once it's in a bale, it's got to be flipped and turned every once in a while, every 3 months or so. So constantly having to grab them, flip them, rotate them where the heat, within the warehouse where they're going to need to sit. There's a lot of caring that goes into those.
Yeah. A lot of attention to details that go into that stuff, man. I'm excited about this Know Your Rapper training, man. I'm excited about, actually getting down there to see this process inside one of these manufacturer compounds, and just seeing that process, because I think the most sexiest thing is an aging room, when you walk in and just see white bales every freaking where, knowing that all that money is just sitting there waiting for the perfect cigar. And that's why I tell people, man, cigars are intricate. It's just one of those things that it's so much attention to detail that goes into it that it's like hard not to love it.
And the way you just described that, I would say you're a cigar nerd, which is what I am. I'm just a big cigar nerd. Yeah, I got a title that says I'm a national education manager, but really I'm just a big cigar nerd who loves to talk to people. Yes. And you're right there with me. And it's such a fun love and romance to what we do, that you can't help but to fall in love with. Every manufacturer does things different, and it's fun to learn how they did it, why they did that. It's like somebody who loves food as a kid, and they love to cook as a kid, and then they grow and they start to develop and become a chef. And then as a chef, you always want to learn what other chefs are doing, because maybe you can pick something up to make it your own. And that's what we all do is we're all friends in this industry. I mean, it's not uncommon that I call AJ or one of the guys from General or Tony over at La Flor. I mean, I got his cell number. I call him all the time. You learn these people, you know them. We all have the same passion about tobacco. Yeah, we all want the shelf space. We all want to make cigars that are right for that consumer. So we sell more, and it's all about the bottom line. We're running a business, and that's just the way business works. But we all have a respect for each other about building a cigar that's quality. And that's why I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast that I will smoke other people's cigars, because there are those that know how to do it right, and I respect that. And I will enjoy their cigars on a regular basis.
Kind of talking about it outside of the Altadis brand, what is one particular cigar that you like to go to that is just well-rounded? No matter when you smoke it, where you smoke it from, it's always just so complete.
The was it T52 is a great one. Every year I buy a box of Añejo from Fuente.
Yeah.
And I buy a box of Opus every year. I've still got Opuses sitting in my humidor from 2000. I think my oldest one is 2001.
Wow.
That I still have sitting in there. But I buy a box every year. But there again, I know they make a great cigar. I just got to let them rest for 5 years for me. Some people can smoke them right away. I like to let those rest on the Opuses. Viejos, they're ready to go. I'll smoke those right away.
Jesus, what you got, a humidor?
Well, when you do what I do, you got to have stuff, and I just keep cigars around. And I've got an aging humidor it's an antique cabinet that I just sealed and put in a basic humidification system in it that's controlled, and they just rest in there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's amazing. One of those things where I haven't necessarily got to the point of aging. I don't have the patience for aging, but I will let a cigar sit in my humidor for 2-3 years. But eventually, I start to get the itching. Like, hey, I need to smoke this thing. You're like,
right. Well, and we don't make cigars for people to just sit on. Mm-hmm. I do it because I'm in the business, and there are cigars I want to see the tobacco. I can open up a cigar, take their cigars apart, and look at the tobaccos that are in it and tell you exactly what they are. Yeah. And I want to see how this changed year after year, going off the same blend. And so I look at some manufacturers as, okay, they're doing it right. What are they using? How is it growing over the years, and what's changing in it and why? And that's why I do a lot of my aging, is just to see how they change. Even our own stuff. I got a lot of our own product that I'm like, okay. Yeah, the Montecristo Grupo number 1. I've still got probably 20 or 25 cigars of those, because they changed quite a bit. They really calmed down. They weren't as big as they were when they first came out, and they've softened down, got really smooth over time. And I love seeing what cigars do over time and how they change. Yeah, because that's what I do.
That is everything. Well, man, we try to be respectful to your time and understand that you carved out your time to be with us, so we don't want to intrude on any other festivities. I mean, just looking at your scenery in the back, I think you got plenty to do.
Well, what do you think I was doing all weekend? I was making this all look pretty for you.
Hey, well, it looks gorgeous, man. Here on the Virtual Smoke Deck, man, one thing that we like to do is a gym. Here's a question. What are your thoughts on barrel aged? This is kind of a trick question. I'm gonna say that before he even answers that. But go ahead, Trav.
I personally, and this is just my personal take on it, I don't like to influence my tobacco with anything.
Yes.
Other than maybe a cedar that we do. If we do a cedar wrap, and a lot of manufacturers do it to give that more of that woodsiness, because some tobaccos need it, like a TBN, out of Indonesia, Java. It needs that little bit of a cedary note to kind of calm down some of those kind of dartish, I call them dartish flavors, those really poignant flavors. But when you're talking barrel aging, well, you're barrel aging in something that had wine or whiskeys or something in it, that is going to absorb into the tobacco, because tobacco is like a sponge. It'll absorb anything around it and hold on to it. It ain't gonna let it go. It's like a flavor hoarder. It's going to hold on to anything that gets around it. So I don't want to influence my tobacco, because I'm a lover of tobaccos. I don't want to influence it with anything other. Now, with that being said, there are the manufacturers that do those, and they do well because that's what consumers like. Me personally, I like the flavors of the tobaccos because there's so much going on with them.
Yeah. I think on to that question as well. Like, barrel aging is, like he said, it gets sticky, right? Because it's a bunch of variables that go into that. How long is it sitting in there? What kind of barrel is it? Was it a whiskey barrel? Was it a tequila barrel? Like there's a bunch of little questions that you have to ask. And you gotta also think of it from a perspective where liquor, wine, all that stuff, beer is a complementary. You always want it to complement, not overpower. Same concept. You don't want your cigar to overpower what you're drinking, because you start to taste one more than the other. Drinks are supposed to be simplified to the point of the cigar to enjoy it. What's your thoughts on that, Trav? Like, do you really like moderate what you consume when you smoke certain cigars?
Repeat that again. Sorry, you froze up on me.
I said, do you normally moderate what you consume when you smoke certain cigars?
Yes. You don't want to overindulge in one and not be able to taste the other. When it comes to I may have 1 or 2 cocktails through a whole cigar, and that's about it. And going to your flavor, your thought, when you complement your cigar, you want it to be body for body. You want it to be similar flavor profiles, but maybe one that plays off of each other. Because I'll be honest with you, this Eternal that I'm smoking, you and I could sit down and smoke it and go, all right, here's a list of 48 different flavor varietals that you could get out of a cigar. What are you getting? And you may put, 4 or 5 check marks in there. I may put 4 or 5 check marks in there. I guarantee you that they will not match.
No.
Our flavor profiles are different. You mentioned training your palate. You got to keep up with your palate to train it to taste certain things. I don't do a lot of chocolate. I'm a diabetic. I have been for 46 years, 45 years. So I don't eat a lot of chocolate. I've got to train my palate to what a chocolate note tastes like by having a cigar that's chocolate and smelling it and then smelling it and tasting a cigar and getting it trained that way. And I got to keep up on it. So, but what I get out of that cigar, I got to find the drink that works best with it. Is there a guarantee that this cigar, this drink, perfect every time?
Yeah, no.
Very few.
No.
I mean, like the Montecristo white label, the original white label with a cup of black coffee. Well, I don't think there's anything better than that one. That's a great morning, get your day started. Perfect. I mean, they just complement each other well. And that comes from everybody that's ever tried it. But beyond that, it's up to the individual. And that's the fun of this, is you get to experiment on your own, have fun with it, and enjoy it as a hobby like it is.
So as you're tasting blends and different things of that nature, what is a beverage that you like to do to lubricate your palate?
It really depends on what I'm smoking, because I want to complement the beverage that goes with it. But like the Romeo San Andres, the Romeo by Romeo San Andres, the black and white box, that real dark San Andres wrapper, with a Johnny Walker double black and a single ice cube, larger ice cube, because I don't want to over dilute it, but I like that double smokiness that goes with that richer San Andreas wrapper.
I'm going to get into something that may be controversial. I'm sure we're going to hear about it.
It's all right. Go for it.
But it's not a bad controversial statement. So oftentimes people be like, here we got matches coming in now because I mean just the demand of it was too crazy not to bring them in. But what's your thoughts on match lighting and Spanish cedar lighter? Which one do you prefer, and which one do you think, and which one do you prefer, and why?
I personally like to do a single torch flame. Mm-hmm. If I do a natural, I like to use butane because I can control it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. When you're cedar lighting or match lighting, just be careful. You're using a cigar match, right? Because you don't want any of them sulfurs. If you have to use something with a sulfur tip, strike it, let it burn off till you get to the wood. But otherwise, it's wood. It's all about lighting the cigar. And I don't think there's a right or wrong because it's up to that individual that's lighting their cigar. If you like to light it with a one of those long stem matches, that's your style. That's right for you. It may not be right for Bob that you're sitting next to. He likes to use cedar strips. Oh, I love my cedar strips. And I like to use a single torch lighter. Yeah. We're all right in our world because I'm the one smoking this cigar. Yeah. Not you, not anybody else. Yeah. It's up to me on what I do that I enjoy. Is there ways to better, maybe pull more flavor or light it a little more consistently, or there's always ways to improve or maybe try something different. But I've always preached that it's up to the individual on what they enjoy. If somebody says they like a V-cut, well, I was on I believe it was one of the show. I can't remember one of the programs I was on. Somebody said you can't cut a bellicoso with a V-cut. I went, really? I grabbed a bellicoso, I cut it, and I went, I'll smoke this. I did it right up. I'm like, it's not up to you. Yeah. I'm the one smoking it. If I want to take my and I want to chaw the whole thing off and I want to have those, edges just burn like crap. But I like that. Hey, never tell somebody that they're doing it wrong. It's up to that person.
I literally only V-cut torpedoes, Bella Cuscos, all that. This is what I do. I don't. I'm. You know, it's crazy. It's weird, but I don't know. I have a fashion. Hold on. Let me think of the word. Infatuation with perfecto body cigars. Like, I love the taper tip. But I'm a Toro guy. Naturally, if I pick up any cigar, I'm picking it up in a Toro, or a Lancero. But when it comes to those perfectos, man, it is hard for me to stay away from them, man. I just think overall the burn is a lot different. Your first third, second third, final third is going to be different because it's tapered down, and you know the tobaccos have to change pretty much or get a little bit more complex, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
As it starts to taper.
Yeah. Now, remember the number one cigar in 2019?
Yes, that's the Aging Room, Nicaragua.
And have you hopefully been introduced that new size?
Yeah. Yes. The
impromptu.
Yes.
That's right up. That's exactly what you're talking about. Is that double figurado, that figurado shape.
Yeah.
But I want to challenge you on something.
Yes, sir.
Grab yourself a figurado or a bellicoso, and you say you like V cuts.
Yeah.
All right. I want you to take a punch, but I don't want you to just punch one layer. Right where that bellicoso comes to a tip, right at the tip, maybe just a teeny bit. Punch your way all the way through to cut through the whole cigar. Like a V cut, but now you're rounding it.
Yeah.
As opposed to giving it that solid. Yeah. Try that one time.
Yeah, that's what I tell people to do that on the chisels. Because chisels you can put pinch it together and then the cap will come off and you can smoke it that way. I personally like to keep the cap on, punch the top, punch the bottom, so it's practically just like that, and then it opens up into the upper part of the roof of your top, but the top of your roof of your mouth.
Roof of your mouth.
Yes, the roof of your mouth, and also your taste buds in your tongue, man. I think that's amazing.
What are you drinking with your cigar tonight?
Man, actually, nothing. That's surprising. I usually have like a Coke Zero or water, or I may do a glass of wine or something like that. But exactly, hey, smart man's think alike.
You know, and it's funny. You mentioned pairings. Who says you can't pair it with a soda or with? Yeah. Any beverage, you can pair a cigar with anything.
Yeah.
And people give me ration all the time because I drink a Coke Zero when I'm on air. Or, every once in a while I'll have a cocktail, but usually it's like a Coke Zero or a Diet Coke or one of those. And they're like, "How can you pair with that?" I'm like, "You'll be surprised. A Diet Coke and a Coke Zero have a different flavor profile that can go with certain cigars, and they'll change them up. And it's fun to just try it sometime, and they try it and they get back to me and they're like, "Oh." Holy cow.
That was good. it's because so you're not getting the sweetness. You're getting some sweetness, but it's like more artificial. I mean, more of a natural sweetness. And you also getting the acidity that's cleaning out your palate as you go.
Yep, so. It definitely has an effect on that. See, what was that one?
All right. So then, how not to light it so you don't ruin it? Depends on what we're talking about. Are we talking about a regular shaped cigar? Are we talking about a figurado? Are we talking about? I mean, like, what are we talking about? We need clarity on that. Could I maybe you can probably take a stab at that? But I would imagine he's probably talking about most your standard, not your figurados and bellicosos and things like that. But the only thing that I tell people is don't rush it. Just like when you're smoking it, you don't want to rush it. If you go to cook a steak, Louis, and your grill is 900 degrees, probably a little too hot, right? It's gonna definitely affect that flavor of that steak. Quick.
Same thing with a cigar. You grab a quad torch and you just jam it right on top of that cigar, and you're just going after it. It's going to affect it. It's going to singe the oils that are there because all the tobacco has oils. So you always want to you need to toast it. Absolutely.
Every time.
You need to toast it slowly. Let it just warm up, starting with the outside and then working your way toward the center. But if you do the outside, the heat on the inside, because your center point is always going to have heat to it, it'll heat up too. So if you do it right and you just hold it back and just slowly warm it up, you're warming it up, just like smoking a steak before you cook it. Yeah. You're just going to just do a little slow to it.
And then especially in regards to like, you know, I'm an advocate for, you know, natural lighting, right? I use butane torches. That's my thing. But I tell people, if you're gonna light a cigar using a match, just understand that that match has, you know, chemicals on it, like that sulfuric acid, I think is what is on there. That's
not just sulfur.
That's going to cause it to be a little bit chemically. Me personally, if I'm going to use, you know, a soft flame, you know, natural type of lighting, I'm using a cedar spill. I think that is it's proven that was the more organic way to light a cigar prior to butanes and different things of that nature.
Yeah. But now you remember, we're smoking cigars that back then, you know, 50 years ago, 80 years ago, would have never smoked like that. And they would never smoke the cigars like we're smoking today. But lighting is a whole new thing for us too. It's what we just do as the, you know, what we're doing now. What was that? Beer and Cosmopolitan.
Metropolitan, hosted by Nat Sherman, doing the trick right now for me.
Oh, you know, Metropolitan, that's got some sweetness to it. So that root beer has got that richness. Yeah, I can see that working. Yeah, absolutely. That's very well astute, Daniel.
Yeah,
very I like that. Hey, so Trav, Daniel, if he's doing that and has a pal like that, I got to watch out.
Hey, Trav, as we wrap up, man, one thing that we like to do on the virtual smoke deck is we like to do a gem. Dropping a gem, it doesn't have to be about cigars. It could be about life. It could be about, you know, whatever you feel is on your heart, just something that you would like to tell the people that's watching and the people that's going to watch here in the future.
You know, you put me on the spot, but one thing I've always believed in is follow your heart and do what you do when it comes to your career, your life. Do something that makes you happy. If it's cigars is your hobby, make it happy. I mean, I'm a big proponent of doing what you love. I love creating things with my hands. I love working on cars. I love rebuilding cars. Cars are like my passion. If I'm not doing cigars, I am working on a car more than likely. So do what you love. And we only have one life. You might as well do it and with a smile on your face. So that's what I would say. Do something you love and always make it. And you want to get up in the morning.
Absolutely. You know, Trav, it's been a great time, man. You know, just, you know, having this organic conversation with you is really dope. I can't wait until August 11th. I think we're going to have a phenomenal time, phenomenal turnout. If you haven't got your tickets yet, go to Eventbrite/E/163130. Click the damn link. We're not about to do all that. Just click the link.
Click the comments. Click the link.
Click the link in the comments. We're just doing too much with that one. But click the link. Buy your ticket today, man. $35 with taxes, $41. You're not gonna find that nowhere else. It's a great freaking deal. 7 cigars, a lighter cutter, a pen to write your nose down.
Which there's a little bit of a secret with that pen, but you got to be there to let me tell you about it, because James Bond kind of came out.
Hey, look, man, that type of look, what we about to do is just gonna be fun, man. So
it's gonna be out the hood.
Man, it's gonna be off the chain. So, Trav, thank you so much for coming in, man.
Thank you, and don't forget to click the link, like, share, all that with your show. But also, you can find me at What Is Travis Smoking on Instagram, and the company, we got the Cigar Lifer on Instagram and The Cigar Life on Facebook.
Hold on, I'm about to post that right now. There you go. And then we're gonna run his banner across. No, that's his banner.
There you go. But I'm looking forward to come up and seeing on August 11th, and I'm sure you'll sell out tonight with that group. And I look forward to maybe having Daniel. Where's Daniel at? I don't know where you're at, Daniel, but if you can show up, man, I'd love to have a conversation with you.
Hey, Daniel, if you're in the Florida area, if you can find a time, man, come see us. Travis requesting you by name on the virtual smoke deck, man. You're famous now.
Somebody who's going to take over my job, I want to make sure they're qualified. Yeah, I'm kidding.
All right,
no,
Trav.
thank you very much for letting me come on and talk with you and just have some fun. And we look forward to seeing you on the 11th.
Man, I see you on the 11th, Trav.
All right.
Peace. Hey, one thing I love about the virtual smoke deck, man, you have no clue what you're going to learn. You have no clue what we're about to bring to you every single episode. It's never going to be, what's your favorite cigar? What's this? What's that? We try to be different, organic. We're about business and cigars on this podcast, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell, and give us a huge thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on Facebook, man, go ahead and follow us at the Virtual Smoke Deck. Press the like button, press the follow button. Next week we have... See who we got. I don't know, but I tell y'all what, we got some great stuff continue to go. We actually have Glenn Luke from PCA. He is the state representative, the state. I don't know, what is his title? He's like the head of state affairs for the United States when it comes to PCA, man. So a lot of legislative stuff coming on. And it's going to be great, man. We can't wait. So make sure you go ahead and tune in for that next week. We appreciate you guys. Also, if you're looking for your cigar needs and wants, you're not here in Jacksonville, you can't come to our lounge at 725 Sky Marsh Drive, Jacksonville, Florida, 32218. Man, go hit us up on DapperDCigars.com for all your cigar needs. Go follow us at Dapper D Cigars on Facebook and Instagram for all the updated events that we have going on at Dapper D's, man. Happy hour is every Monday through Wednesday from 3 to 6, $2.50 Blue Moons, $3 Sweet Reds. We have live music every Friday. August 22nd, is our Sundays, mimosas and stogies at the lounge, man. So it's going to be a great time, DJ and all that type of stuff. August 11th, we have our cigar education night, $35 a ticket. Gets you a sampler, a pen, a free lighter and cutter, a free drink, man. It's going to be amazing. So make sure you come out for that. With that being said, I'm Jack the Cigar Enthusiast. I hope you enjoyed this segment of the Virtual Smoke Deck. Until next week, I'm gone.